Dear friends, welcome to yet another installment of Strategic Power. In this video, we will discuss the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, which provoked a military response from the U.S. Supporting Palestinians against Israel, the Houthis challenge American bombings. President Biden affirms continuity in actions, regional complexity with axis of resistance, and concerns about uncertain developments raise questions. How far can this escalation go? If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we ask that you do so now and activate the notification bell to always be up to date. The situation in the Middle East is on the verge of a potential devastating crisis, marked by aggressive and reckless actions by Iranian representatives, along with attacks on civilian ships. This occurs in the context of the efforts by the United States, the United Kingdom, and Israel to contain the activities of Iranian representatives. The region is desperately crying out for stability. Given this scenario, the troops of the U.S.-led coalition are intensifying their operations with self-defense attacks. Recently, the U.S. Navy in the Red Sea carried out the sixth series of significant attacks against Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. These attacks were conducted based on combined information and collaboration between the United States, Israel, and the United Kingdom. Surprisingly, they occurred just 22 hours after the fourth round of attacks, highlighting the heightened tensions in the region and the rise in risk factors. We will now analyze the fifth series of U.S. attacks against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, supported by Israeli intelligence services. We will also discuss the preparations and measures that Israel, the United States, and the West are taking in response to the growing tensions in the region, which threaten to draw other parties into an expanding conflict. On Thursday, the U.S. Armed Forces conducted their fifth series of attacks on Houthi weapons in Yemen, focusing on the Red Sea with anti-ship missiles. According to information from the United States, hours after the launch of the last salvo, the attacks targeted more than a dozen Houthi missiles about to be fired, resulting in the destruction of approximately a quarter of the Houthi arsenal, according to a Pentagon official. The U.S. Central Command announced the action on Thursday, describing it as part of the ongoing multinational efforts to preserve freedom of navigation and prevent attacks on naval vessels in the Red Sea. CENTCOM stated that the missiles were pointed south of the Red Sea and were ready to be launched when detected. CENTCOM stressed that these missiles posed an imminent threat to commercial ships and U.S. Navy vessels in the region. Around 3:40 p.m. Sana'a time, U.S. forces identified the missiles in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Faced with the perception that they posed an urgent threat to U.S. commercial and military vessels in the region, U.S. forces took defensive action, shooting down and destroying the missiles, as stated by CENTCOM. The recent anti-ship missile attacks were carried out in self-defense, as the missiles posed a potential threat to U.S. vessels, as stated. However, the statement did not specify whether the missiles were cruise or ballistic. It was mentioned that 18 U.S. units participated in the attack, but it was not detailed which forces were involved. The Houthis' plans to attack the American fleet and commercial vessels in the region were said to have been detected by American and Israeli intelligence services. In addition, the fifth series of U.S. attacks also targeted the Houthis' underground missile arsenals, with Israeli and American intelligence services collaborating to determine location and target. Israel has advanced military and technological infrastructures, along with modern surveillance systems in the region. The country plays a significant role in detecting underground bunkers, tunnels, and nearby Iranian arsenals, especially in its operations against Hamas and Hezbollah. While U.S. and U.K. forces have a considerable presence in the region, the Israeli armed forces are known for their rapid response capability and effective situation control. Israel's surveillance drones, fighter jets, spy satellites, and military information capabilities are constantly sharing information with U.S. military forces. The U.S. Central Command stated on Thursday, these attacks, along with other measures we are implementing, aim to weaken the Houthis' ability to continue their reckless attacks on international and commercial ships in the Red Sea, the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, and the Gulf of Aden. On Thursday, Central Command announced that the Red Sea has become a critical point in the growing tensions in the Middle East, with the U.S.-led coalition intensifying its attacks against Houthi rebels. The current conflict raises two crucial questions. First, will the U.S.-led coalition's approach, backed by Israeli intelligence services, effectively contain Houthi attacks and reduce Iran's influence over them? Second, will the coalition's actions have unexpected effects on the wider regional environment, especially considering recent developments involving Iran in Syria, Iraq, and Pakistan? These concerns are essential to understand the evolving dynamics of the conflict and its implications for regional stability and global maritime security. The fifth series of U.S. attacks was motivated by the Houthi forces' attack on an American ship near the coast of Mukalla, Yemen. This incident occurred just one day after the United States carried out the fourth series of airstrikes against the Iran-backed rebels. The Houthi attack targeted the commercial ship Genco Picardy, which was sailing east in the Gulf of Aden. According to the vessel finder Maritime Traffic Service, the bulk carrier left the Egyptian port of Safaga on January 11th, bound for Tuticorin, India. The Indian Navy, which was assisting the freighter, released photographs of the aftermath of the attack. The images show parts of the damaged handrail and a loose metal grate. A fire broke out aboard the cruiser on Thursday, resulting in significant damage to the stern. This recent development intensified U.S. actions in response to Houthi attacks and reinforced the urgency to contain hostilities in the region. The merchant ship issued a distress call after the drone attack, which occurred around midnight local time. In response to the call, an Indian Navy ship, INS Tarkash, which was on anti-piracy patrol in the Gulf of Aden, arrived on site and managed to get the fire under control. As the Navy stated in a statement, INS Tarkash intercepted the Genco Picardy ship at 0030 on January 18, 2024, to provide assistance. With 22 crew members on board, the Genco Picardy did not suffer significant losses and proceeded to its next port of call. The Iran-backed group claimed responsibility for the attack, which is part of a series of daring attacks on ships since November. This group stated its intention to continue attacking ships using the Red Sea's critical maritime corridors and said it would not be intimidated by reactions. Mohammed Abdel Salam, spokesman for the group, stated in a statement that they will not hesitate to attack Israeli ships that support the Palestinian people, as well as ships bound for ports in occupied Palestine. He added that they will respond to any new American or British attacks in Yemen. Since November, the Houthis have conducted hundreds of attacks on ships in the Red Sea, claiming to support Palestinians during Israel's campaign against Hamas in Gaza, although most of the targeted ships had no connection to Israel. These attacks are part of a broader response to the Gaza battle by the so-called Axis of Resistance, made up of the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah, all Iran-oriented. On Thursday, U.S. President Joe Biden stated that U.S. military attacks against Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen will continue. He acknowledged that American and British bombings have still not prevented terrorists from attacking ships in the Red Sea. Biden emphasized that as long as the Houthis continue to attack ships in the region, the United States will maintain its attacks. Before leaving the White House for a domestic policy speech in North Carolina, Biden told reporters that the United States will persist in its operations, acknowledging the continued threat posed by the Houthis. Retired U.S. Navy Captain Ginny Moran explained that the U.S. operation was aimed at neutralizing Houthi capabilities on the ground before they could be used, indicating that it is more effective to act preemptively against these capabilities. Moran predicts the continuation of similar actions as the regional battle progresses.